My name is Paul Wolliver. I'm the owner of Pinellas Power Products, and this is my extended runtime fuel kit for generators that run the Johnson Group 224cc engine. That would include the WEN 4800 and the PowerSmart 4500, and probably a couple of others that I'm not aware of yet. However, this will allow you to hook this generator to any size remote fuel tank you want to extend the operational running time of the generator. If you own one of these, you are aware that it has a fuel tank of less than 2 gallons, so it won't run for an extremely long period of time. However, we do have the solution for that. First things first is the main question I'm asked by customers is, can I run off the stock tank with your kit installed? And the answer is absolutely yes. With my kit installed, if you want to run it off the stock tank, you do it exactly the same way you used to before my kit was installed. Nothing there has changed. The next thing I'd like to point out is this is a real fuel transfer system. It is not a through the cap, it is not a gravity feed, it is not a one-size-fits-all. It is specifically for the 224cc Johnson Group generators. So if you see this video and you want to apply it to another, it's not going to work, sorry. Operation is very straightforward and simple. Put the generator and the fuel tank on level ground. I have them up on this tool bench or up on this toolbox. Number one, because I'm old and I don't like crouching, and number two, it's easier to shoot the video with the generators up at waist level so I can explain everything. If you're watching this video on YouTube, if you look in the description section below, you will see a link to get to my website, and you'll see the installation instruction video as well. So my kit comes with everything that you see installed during the installation instruction video, plus a quick disconnect fitting to put in your remote tank, which I've got one already installed, and a 3-meter fuel hose, which is 9.5 feet in American sizes if you're interested. Also, real quickly here, if you go to the bottom of my website, you'll see that there's a link for a video of how to use a fuel caddy as a fuel tank. And for me at my age, that's an awesome idea because you can get a 14-gallon fuel caddy with wheels on it. You'll roll it anywhere just like the generator, and it doesn't have the inherent problems with the pickup tube of a lot of the 6-gallon tanks. But if you watch the video on the fuel caddy, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Back to this. The fuel hose that comes in the kit will have an arrow indicating the direction of fuel flow, which is from the tank to the generator, and in each fitting will have an arrow indicating the direction of fuel flow. So the first thing you'll do is take the fitting with the icon of the fuel tank and the arrow pointing this direction, and we'll hook it to the remote fuel tank. Incidentally, the quick disconnect fittings are Yamaha style fittings. You squeeze in on this little tab and plug it in, like that. So now you'll take the hose end with an arrow pointing outbound and hook it to the front of the generator. With the hose connected up, if your fuel tank has a manual fuel tank vent, you'll make sure that the manual vent is in the open position. If your fuel tank has an automatic vent, you may actually have to loosen the fuel cap. I have seen so many of those automatic fuel tank vents fail that you would not believe it. But at any rate, if you've got a manual fuel tank vent, just open the fuel tank vent. If you are running it off of my remote tank, which we are now, you would move the fuel selector valve to the choke position, and you would take and pump the prime bulb to get gasoline from the tank through the hose, filling the fuel filter and the other components that are installed in the generator. As I indicated earlier, they're in the video on installation instructions. But when you get this hose, it's full of air. So you're going to want to pump the prime ball until it gets firm and you know that there's fuel in it instead of air. Once you do that, then you can either, if you've got a recoil start version, pull the recoil rope. If you've got an electric start version, you would press the electric start motor. We are not going to be starting it in here because we're in a small room that's not properly vented, and carbon monoxide being what it is, you get the idea. So at any rate, once you started the generator, then you would move the fuel selector valve to the fuel off position. So just keep that in mind. If you're running it off the stock tank, you'd move the fuel to the run position. If you're running it off of my remote tank system, you'd move the fuel to the fuel off position, and that's indicated on this sticker right here. Incidentally, step 7 is not a misprint. That's where it says to run the generator on the remote tank, you put the fuel selector valve in the off position. You would not believe how many people put their generator away for the winter or whatever. They get it back out next spring and they forget that step and they run it in the on position. What happens there is if you've got everything hooked up and you've got it in the on position, it'll suck the fuel out of the stock tank, and when the stock tank is empty, it will stall without ever pulling any fuel out of the remote tank. My system is set up to where it will either pull from the stock tank or the remote tank. That way it is not possible for it to try and transfer 6 or 7 gallons in a remote tank into a stock 1 gallon tank, because that way it would overflow the fuel tank, and I'm not into that. At any rate, my fuel kits are the safest way to extend the runtime of your generator. If you have any questions whatsoever, go to the link in the description section of this video and it'll take you to my website. Go through the information in my website. If you have any questions whatsoever, do not hesitate to call me. I think that just about covers it. I thank you for your time.